It's October the 4th and the red deer rut is nearing its end. In our last trip, we had a memorable encounter with a massive red stag, and now we are trying to find him again to take some better shots of this incredible stag. Also, we are eager to explore more of this new area. Fortunately, the weather forecast is looking good, so we plan to stay at least 3 days in the mountains. We arrive late in the evening and make camp in the same location, and, as last time, we take a quick look around before it gets dark. Our first sighting is of a male and a female roe deer. Although roe deer mating season is in summer, these two are behaving like a couple. The female has already changed to her winter coat. Just a few tufts from her red summer coat can be seen around the tail. Molting seems to have started later for the male. Next, we spot a red stag. He's bedded face to the valley, roaring now and then towards the place we found the huge stag last time. Between us and him, there's a spike grazing without any worries. We pass by the spike without disturbing him and get closer to the bigger stag, making a short detour to the opening on our right, where we end up spotting two hinds with a calf. There's no stag accompanying them, so we can assume they've already been in estrus. Although the wind is in our favor and we are well hidden, the hinds seem to have sensed something. They are confused but still choose to leave the opening. Meanwhile, the stag from before has descended towards us. He's on the younger side, but still, his roar has started to sound like that of the bigger stags. He starts grazing, so we let him be and return to the camp before it's pitch black. Close to the camp, we encounter a group of 3 hinds and 3 young stags, one of them being a slightly bigger stag, but obviously not one of the dominant stags in the area. This should be another group of hinds that are no longer in estrus. As expected, this night there are only a few roars to be heard. It's a new beautiful day and we are determined to find the big stag. In the place we last saw him, we can hear 2 stags roaring to each other. We think it's him and his rival neighbor, so we descend towards them, but when we arrive, we fail to see or hear any deer. After a few minutes, looking through our binoculars, we spot 2 hinds but still no stag. The 2 stags start roaring again and we determine their approximate locations. One of them is just a bit lower than us, and the other one is on the opposite mountainside, and there are a few other stags roaring around too. A few sun rays manage to get past the thick canopy, stopping on the crown of the king. We finally found him. For a couple of hours we wait for him to move, but nothing. He's just roaring from time to time, and that's it. We decide to approach him from behind, but on our way we meet with this naive spike. He's too funny. We are right in front of him, but he doesn't seem to see us. We fear he might alert the big guy, but he eventually goes away in the opposite direction. Meanwhile, our stag moved into a small nearby thicket. The way things have developed until now makes us question if we'll be able to film this stag today. After a couple more hours of waiting, the situation takes a drastic turn. Our stag starts throwing short, aggressive roars while advancing towards his rival from the other side of the mountain, but the reply is also vigorous and aggressive. We are not sure what happened all of a sudden and start trailing behind our stag from a distance. What we are sure of is that those were battle roars. We carefully climb the steep slope when we hear crackling noises, then we quickly stop because we can see movement ahead of us. It's a stag, but which one? It's the big guy. But strange, why has he calmed down suddenly, even though his rival is roaring behind him? He moves slightly to the right, and everything becomes clear. He's been severely wounded a few moments ago while fighting his rival. There's a gruesome wound on his left side of the body, probably made by his opponent's antlers. The wound is throbbing and bleeding out, and there's another one on the same side, a big swelling. What kind of fight did they have that he ended up so bad? Could his lung have been punctured? Will he survive? It would be such a shame because he's such a beautiful stag. While his rival chases away another stag, he retreats to a safe place to recuperate. He's walking normally and the bleeding seems to have stopped. Wild animals are very resilient, so there might be hope for this stag. What probably happened was that our stag sensed that one of his rival's hinds entered estrus. That's why he became so determined to fight, but he was defeated and gravely injured instead. We leave him alone to lick his wounds and try to approach the perpetrator. He has to be a very strong stag. Being close, we find him quickly, but can't film him because he's on a very steep slope with thick forest. This satellite stag is keeping a safe distance from him. Good for him. We follow the strong stag uphill and finally spot him as he moves away with his hinds. As expected, he's a strong 14-pointer. While we leave the area, we hear the wounded stag roaring a few times from the valley. It's a good sign. Hopefully, we'll see each other again next year. We move to explore a totally new area, and while descending, we suddenly lay down because we notice movement in front of us. It's a group of two hinds with a calf and a spike. They're very close. Fortunately, we saw them first. We can also hear roars from time to time coming from close by in the valley. Surely not from this young stag. He's together with another hind and its calf. Something scares him away. It's a bigger stag. This must be the one roaring earlier. He checks out the first group of hinds, but then, as if unsatisfied, comes back to the single hind with her calf, passing right by us. All these hinds are probably out of estrus because it's highly improbable a shabby stag like this one can monopolize a harem. Not even his roar is impressive in any way. We leave him be for now to check the next clearing, which is close by. No movement here, except for a spike with velvet on his antlers that's grazing. We return to the stag from earlier and we find him chewing something and foaming at the mouth. He seems to be okay though. He keeps walking around in front of us, and we take this opportunity to take some close-up shots. Although he's not the biggest stag around, there are signs on his body that denote he's been fighting with other stags. He's coming closer and closer. Being close to these wild animals and observing their behavior is very special. It's not every day that you get to film a wild stag for several minutes from only a few meters. It's only possible during the rut season. He gets at 15 meters from us. Wow. Without warning, the hind with her calf climb up from this hole right in front of us, stopping at a few meters from us. They were always there without us knowing. Although we didn't move a muscle, it was impossible not to see or smell us. As they retreat into the forest, the stag also follows. We also leave to check other places, and we meet again with the group of hinds with the spike and even the young stag that was scared away by the bigger stag earlier. They're out grazing in an open area. There's a small skirmish between the two young stags. Boys will be boys. Further away, there's another group of deer. It's another case of younger stag following a group of hinds that have already been in estrus. Seeing this time and time again these days can mean a single thing: the rut season is ending. There are still a few hinds in heat here and there, and this is the only reason we are still hearing roars in some areas. When the last hind will be out of estrus, the rut will be officially over. After assessing the situation on the field these last few days, we decide to leave tomorrow morning. As the clouds are toppling over the ridges like waves, we also start descending the mountain. We had amazing and unforgettable experiences this time too. It's been an amazing rut season. We saw a lot of deer, interesting behavior, and we learned a lot of new things. Although we'll be missing the mornings in the mountain, the sceneries, the suspense and adrenaline, the cry of the falcon and the roar of the stags, we'll surely see and experience all of these again next year. Thank you for following us in this adventure. We hope to see you again soon.